And we are back with the fourth segment of the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. And in this fourth segment, we are going to be talking about the rest of the NBA games that went down on Monday. Since I was unable to do the recap yesterday, I did not work yesterday because of reasons. So we're going to go and dive right in and talking about this. I already said that the Memphis Grizzlies, they ended up losing to the Brooklyn Nets, so I might as well go ahead and continue to cover that. They lost 106 to 104. Zach Edey played phenomenally in this matchup. 25 points, 11 for 12 from the field, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks. He became the first rookie with 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks, and shot 90% from the field in a game since Hakeem Olajuwon back in 1984, which is very, very, very impressive. Like, this was a very, very good game. And this was a game that I didn't really expect the Brooklyn Nets to win. I mean, Ja Morant was cooking in the entire first quarter of this game. In fact, he was so good that he made 2 360 layups over the Nets. Like, that was honestly one of the craziest things I've seen. I mean, when he did that first 360, I was like, ooh, that was nice. And then he did it again, and I was just like, okay, he's like that, right? But we know that's Ja Morant. That's just how athletic he is, and he's really like that. And it seems like he sort of refined his game to try and take fewer dunks and start landing a bit more safely so that way his knees don't give out, which is a good thing, right? Now, he also ended the game with 25 points, 9 assists, and 5 rebounds to go along with that, and shot 10 for 22 from the field. Not as efficient as Zach Edey was, but again, Zach Edey is just so tall. I mean, he better go 11 for 12. He also went 1 for 1 from 3, which is also very surprising. If he develops a three-point shot, then a consistent three-point shot, then that really does say something about his game. Jaren Jackson Jr., he ended the game 5 for 11 from the field with 15 points. Scottie Pippen Jr., he ended the game with 6 for 13 from the field with 14 points. And Santi Aldama, he ended the game 4 for 12 with 9 points. So, not really much production coming in from the rest of the players. Not to mention Jalen Wells, 3 for 12 with 6 points. That was just less than ideal. And Dennis Schroeder for the Brooklyn Nets, he's been playing really, really well. And hold on just 1 second. Let me just go ahead and wait for the box scores to load, because sometimes there's always issues with the Wi-Fi, especially while I'm streaming. Hold on 1 second. Can this thing load, please? Please? All right, there we go. All right. Now, Schroeder, he ended the game with 20 points, 6 assists, along with 2 rebounds, and he's been playing very well. Like, in the last few games, he's been playing very well for the Nets. Cam Johnson ended the game with 20 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and Cam Thomas, he ended the game with 13 points and 6 assists to go along with that. And Cam Thomas, he didn't really shoot that efficiently from the field in this matchup. 6 for 17, 0 for 4 from 3 with only 13 points. Again, not really that efficient, but a win is a win. And he got the production, the Nets got the production coming in from Johnson as well as Dennis Schroeder. And even Dorian Finney-Smith, who ended the game with 17 points and 6 for 10 from the field. And really, that's all she wrote. I mean, the game really came down to the very end where, despite Memphis outscoring the Nets in this matchup in the fourth quarter, they still ended up prevailing, right? And let me just go ahead and look at the it looked like it was going to be really close, but Dennis Schroeder, he ended up making the layup that ended up giving the Nets the score of being up 106 to 101. Then Jaren Jackson, he ended up making a very clutch 3-point shot to make the score within 2. But, obviously the Nets got the ball back. They ended up calling a timeout, and all they had to do was really hold on to the ball. And Cam Johnson, he ended up getting blocked by Jaren Jackson. But then the Nets got the offensive rebound, and there was a shot clock violation. And then in the final few seconds, Santi Aldama, he missed a 3-pointer that would have ended up winning the game. Luckily, he missed, and that was the big reason why they ended up losing. So those were the final minutes of that game. Now, the Warriors, they end up winning another game. This time, Steph Curry is in the mix. 24 points, 6 assists. They beat the Wizards. Again, this is not a very this is not a good win to really gloat about because they are the Wizards, but aside from that, it is a win. They moved to 6-1. Andrew Wiggins didn't really play well, 5 points. Draymond Green, he ended with more points than anybody else aside from Steph Curry in this matchup, and Buddy Hield, which is really impressive. 5 for 7 from the field and 3 for 4 from 3. Buddy Hield went 7 for 14 with 20 points, 3 for 8 from 3. And he's really been a very solid option for the Warriors, especially off the bench. Like, this is just peak performance coming in from Buddy Hield. Jonathan Kuminga, he also played pretty good in this matchup, 7 for 15, 0 for 2 from 3 with 15 points. And on the Wizards side, Jordan Poole, of course, he was the leading scorer. 24 points, 8 for 20, 2 for 10 from 3. Keontae George, 7 of 19, 6 for 17 from 3. Not all that efficient coming in from Kaishawn George, 20 points, again, on 19 shots. It's all right, but again, that 6 for 17 from the field is just, that is bad. But not to mention the rest of the players. I mean, Alexander Sarr, 3 for 10 from the field. This is one of the worst top 2 draft picks I've ever seen. I don't understand. Like, this is the fact that they're not getting any sort of media coverage. Zachary Rasacher or Alexander Sarr is just absolutely ridiculous. They're the number 1 and the number 2 pick in the draft, and they're playing horribly. I don't understand why this media is more focused on talking about Bronny. In fact, speaking of Zachary Rasacher, they ended up playing the Celtics today. So let's go ahead and talk about that. The Celtics, they ended up winning 123-93. Of course they did. They are the Celtics, and they're going up against the Hawks. Jason Tatum, another MVP caliber performance, 28 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. Crafty PG's in the chat. What's up, Crafty? Derek White, he ended the game with 21 points, 6 rebounds, along with 6 assists. Drew Holiday, 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. I mean, this is just, a classic Celtics victory. They always play well, especially against teams like the Atlanta Hawks. And what I think about, Crafty's in the chat, what do I think about Embiid's suspension? I already said this in the first segment. I think it should have been a little bit longer than 3 games. There was a joke around the internet that was saying that, the bigger punishment would have been forcing him to play in 3 games, which I thought was pretty funny. But I think it should have been a little bit longer. Again, it's as if he's a big fish in a small pond, relatively speaking. Like, he's just picking on somebody that's nowhere near his own size, and I feel like that was very unprofessional. He should have been suspended indefinitely, but, that was just me. At the very least, maybe even 20 games or something like that, but yeah, he definitely should have been suspended much longer than just 3 games. And Crafty continues saying, the Celtics are hooping. Yep, yes they are. They are indeed hooping. They are definitely the same unit that we saw last season. They do have the best chances of repeating. PJ Hatcher in the chat, the Cam Thomas show. He didn't really play well in that last game, and it wasn't really a good game coming in from Cam Thomas. The rest of the players ended up playing pretty well though. Crafty's in the chat saying scared of when they get Kristaps. Yeah, that's really true. Like, I mean, they haven't even. This just shows how good of a unit the Boston Celtics are. Not even having one of their best players in Kristaps Porzingis. I mean, just like he said, just imagine what would happen when he gets back. But more so on the rookies. And yes, I'm also surprised that the Warriors are 6-1. But Zachary Rasacher, I mean, he ended the game with 15 points, but he also took 15 shots, 6 for 15 from the field. And I don't understand why these rookies, these top 2 picks in the rookie class, have gotten 0 media attention based off of their performances. I was already talking about how Alexander Sarr was just playing horribly with the Wizards, and now Rasacher is not really playing all that well either. It's they're not getting any sort of coverage whatsoever. It does not make any sense. Not to mention Trae Young, he was awful tonight. 1 for 10 from the field with only 2 points. Absolutely horrible. But again, this is the Boston Celtics and their defense. They have some very, very good perimeter defenders on the starting lineup. But aside from that, there's no excuse for going 1 for 10 from the field and 0 for 6 from 3. That's just really, really bad coming in from Trae Young. And I mean, this isn't really a shocker. They are the Boston Celtics against the Atlanta Hawks. I feel like everybody sort of saw this win coming, right? And Crafty's in the chat saying, yeah, Embiid's dumb. I agree. I mean, like, yeah, it just did not make any sense. Like, you're supposed to be professional. Like, you're supposed to be a lot better than that. But, again, that's just me. Now, the next matchup that we're going to talk about is the Knicks. They went up against the Houston Rockets. They ended up losing again. So, fantastic. Brunson ended up getting 29 points. All of it was for nothing. And yeah, I know Trae Young was really, really bad, but Jalen Brunson, he was not really, really bad. Even though he ended the game going 9 for 24 from the field. OG Anunoby, he ended with 21 points. This was the production that you need from OG if you really want to be able to contend with the Celtics. But the rest of these players, Karl Anthony Towns, 17 points, 7 for 17. Mikal Bridges, 6 for 14 with 15 points. That is not the production that you need coming in from these players if you expect to compete against the Boston Celtics. And struggling against the Houston Rockets, I'm not going to say that Houston is not good, but they're more of like that, mediocre team where it's like anything can really happen. They could either make the play-in or they could make the playoffs, and I wouldn't really be surprised. Or they could lose and like not make the playoffs at all or the play-in, and I still wouldn't be surprised. Regardless, Sengun ended with 25 points and 14 rebounds. Van Vliet ended with 19 points. And Jalen Green, he ended with 15 points as well. And let's just look at the field goals coming in from the team. Jalen Green didn't really shoot all that well. 5 for 15 from the field with only 15 points. But again, a win is a win. They were able to win by double digits despite the fact that they were shooting rather poorly from 3, 8 for 33. I did actually mention Zach Edey. He was the first rookie to ever record a stat line like that since Hakeem Olajuwon. So that's very, very impressive coming in from Zach. Unfortunate that it ended up being a loss, but still. Let me see. How are we doing on time? All right, so we're running a little bit low on time, so I'm going to go ahead and go into a break. I'm going to continue with this recap as well as go ahead and go into the fifth segment, which is going to be my predictions going into the next game. So I'll be right back after this short break. Be sure to stay tuned.